on this. I mean, they had already started building their project when we approached them. They at least had the permits and ready to go. They had made some investments, as the city manager said, and they're willing to, in essence, write those off in return for our giving them the tax benefits of doing so. And I think this is it's the best possible location that we can get. And I want to thank, I know the city manager and the fire chief have worked extremely hard trying to find a place. There's just not a lot of green space where we can build these sorts of things in our community, and they did a phenomenal job. It took a while to get it done, but they were able to get it done, and I can't think of a better use for this property and the impact it's going to have on the surrounding areas and the responsiveness. As I've said on several occasions, when you're in an emergency, the sweetest sound you can hear is a siren, because you know that help is on the way. And this is where a lot of our, we do a lot of work around at the hospitals. It's amazing to me how many times we have to go to Pill Hill in the medical district to provide assistance. And this is going to put us not on the doorstep, but as close as we can get. So I think that's going to inure to the benefit of a lot of people in that area. So I want to thank the city manager and the chief for their diligence and persistence in trying to find a place for us to do this. So is there no other discussion? We will call the question and buy this piece of property. The motion is to approve 2 purchase and sale agreements for the fee simple property rights and interest located at 5275 Roswell Road and 0 Roswell Road, and for the acceptance of all deeds associated with the transaction. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The item is approved. Is there a motion to adjourn? Mr. DiGiulio moves adjournment of the Public Facilities Authority. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Paulson. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We are adjourned for the Public Facilities Authority. Now moving to the work session. We will have Mr. Ansbach come up and talk to us about development code updates.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Good to see everyone tonight. I'll try and run through this. There's several edits to discuss, and you all feel free to ask as I go if that's quicker or better for you if you have any questions. So it's been a little while since we brought forward kind of multiple edits at one time. This isn't a major update, but I would consider it kind of a minor update to the code. So before you tonight, next slide, we have 3 we break it down 3 ways. You have the more substantive edits, some of which aren't terribly substantive. Then you have the appeal edits and the housekeeping edits, which we'll really just reference. Next slide. So starting in Article 1 for the substantive edits, we have, next slide, conditions that remain. This was left out of the 2023 major update. So the idea was that this was going to be in there somehow. A couple of items, you'll see some other ones tonight, got left out. This is one of those. It wasn't controversial at the time, to my knowledge. I don't think it is now. The idea would be of the conditions that remain from previous entitlements over the years, that number 5 there, the provision for access to a site, to or from a site, that it would not remain as a condition for those sites that do not abut protected neighborhoods or RU or RT districts. So basically, it would allow for the existing engineers that we have here at the city to determine the best access rather than whatever was conditioned maybe 20 years ago or 30 years ago as things change. Next slide. And Article 4, next slide as well. We have here office neighborhood height and mass. This was also kind of an item that was left out. All of the other similar commercial districts, we added in a little bit of clarification on the heights of things such as ground floor elevation. And all we're doing here is really clarifying what they are for specific uses. Next slide. Oh, got a clicker. So 410-4, this is the North End mixed use district. you all are familiar with. We did a couple of things in the 2023 update to allow for that district to be a little more competitive because of the materials. We let go of some of the restrictions on how you build anything over 3 stories. So one of the things that we did in this district was we reduced the amount from 25% to 20% for single unit required on the site. Now, again, we left out this on accident. This was done for the other similar district in the north end, and just was mistakenly left out for 410-4, which is the 5-6 story district. So Article 5, same thing. We've got a few things that were left out. Perimeter medical lot parameters. You see there the width parameters. There's a phrase, all uses other than as listed below. So that was removed. The context isn't needed anymore. And we're simply editing that out. Moving to Article 6, you'll find there's a few more edits throughout Article 6. That's usually where all of the action is when it comes to developments. Can't really read it on the screen, but of course in your red lines, there are a lot of edits, most of which are kind of the descriptors at the beginning of each subsection to kind of give the folks who look through this code a little headway to know what they're reading. Additionally, as we work through some of the outdoor amenity space edits that we had made in 2023, you are always kind of dialing things forward and backward to make what the developers understand they have to do a little bit better, a little bit more clear. One thing that we did, for instance, is they're required to have a certain amount of amenity space. We clarified that only a portion of that is actually supposed to be publicly accessible, because there are parts of a typical development that are only for the patrons of that development, specifically for the multi-units, or you have a pool in an area that's in a courtyard, so to speak. So that's a for instance. There are several others that have to do with the types of materials used and things like that, and pathways and access. So several items there. Shared court placement here. We really just made one minor edit here, and that was to reduce the primary street setback for the 2 street-facing lots from 15 to 10. Typical townhome developments, the setback is 10. So these type of lots are really for the infill urban lots that are a lot smaller, and it makes sense that the setbacks are no more than your typical setbacks for similar development. So residential parking and storage on the top there, we simply changed the name to storage from specialized vehicles, and we enhanced some of the items that are specifically listed. This helps code enforcement to do their job a little bit more clearly when they're writing up an infraction or something like that. They are able to clarify what they're referring to a little bit better with some of the edits that we have there. And then at the bottom, for the single unit attached dwelling, in Section 4, the subsection below that, any street that is allowed to be front-loaded, there's certain standards that we're adding to that to enhance the quality of the development. So Section 662A and subsection G as well. For 662A, we simply add, for instance, the canopy as something that is also restricted in terms of the amount of primary colors used or fluorescent colors used. And for G, these edits were, from my understanding, I wasn't here, but they were in the code in 2017 or before the 2017 changeover. These are restrictions that apply to multi-unit development. So all halls being internal, stairs leading to upper levels are screened or indoor, and every room has a 9-foot ceiling, so nothing very unusual there. The enhanced community benefit matrix you guys may be familiar with. So this is when anybody wants to come in and get bonus height or to reduce their minimum height. So we really went after this a year and a half ago when we did the 2023 update. The way that it was shown, it kind of left out a couple of scenarios in terms of reductions or bonuses. So what we did here was just clarify and add in anything that was unintentionally missed. Moving along to Article 7. This is, for the most part, just a clarification. When you get down to breaking down percentages on top of percentages on top of percentages, it can get kind of confusing when you're talking about linear feet of developments. So the easiest way to do it, we found, is what we've proposed as an edit here. And in addition to that, we added some commentary in the paragraph for 731G that explains that not all your commercial requirement needs to be spread out across the entire development. It can be in one central area if that works best. So recreation and open space, cemetery and mausoleum specifically, we added to the definition that a traditional funeral home, that being one that doesn't have cremation services on site, be allowed as a kind of an ancillary use. Here we have a lot of times, this is oftentimes with our residential site plans and things like that, we get into what's the front, what's the back, what's the rear and side, and it can get a little dicey because not every lot's a perfect rectangle, especially in Sandy Springs. So the language you find here is the language that we often have to refer to kind of in policy, and we're getting that in the code to make it clear for everyone. It certainly will help staff to be able to determine where things may or may not be located in the one-off situations that we often find ourselves in. Article 8, district boundary buffer. Again, this was another, we left that out scenario. No fences allowed. In the 2023 update, the no fence allowed restriction was removed, but not in the district boundary buffer, only the protected neighborhood transition buffer. This just allows for the director to have a little bit more leeway to figure out what's the best way to screen and separate uses when one of these boundaries is necessary. Monument signs. This is a section of the code in the monument signs that restricts where monument signs may be placed. It's not in contention with anywhere else in the code, but it is a little confusing because there are other portions of the code that are more clear and a little more strict. So this just kind of gets in the way oftentimes when we're dealing with monument signs. So we propose to remove that, make things a lot clearer and less confusing. Going to Article 9, we have an add back. So this was for retaining walls. You'll remember we edited pretty heavily retaining walls a few years ago. One of the things that inadvertently got left out, as does happen, is the requirement for when you need a certification from an engineer. So if you're just going to build a 4-foot retaining wall, you do need a permit, but you may not need an engineer certification unless it's got heavier payload above it that it's supporting. So in those circumstances, we want to clarify that you do not need a permit for anything under 6 feet, as we used to have it in the code. And it's pretty standard anywhere else. Article 10. Again, this is pretty small. It's only substantive in that it's requiring someone to utilize a certain type of street or alley and the various standards that are within that reference in the code. That's section 10.4.13. So this is for any time that somebody has to do an access easement or an interparcel access, they have clear understanding of what that's going to require in terms of does it need curb and gutter and all that. So similarly here, this is the shared street. This is the street type that you use if you do the development pattern for a shared street or a shared court. There were some inconsistencies when we put this in terms of right-of-way and that sort of thing. So we did that. We also made some clarifications as to what the street can be made up of, because previously it lacked a little bit of precision on that. So Article 11, This is one way for us to encourage businesses to kind of reinvest in what they've got, even in small ways. We removed the requirement in continuances that anytime a business ceases to exist, their signs need to come into complete compliance with the code. It's a little bit strict. Felt like this would be a good opportunity to earn some good faith in the business community. So there's certainly other items in there that constitute, a continuance ending. But this was one we felt like needed to be removed. This section, I will pretty much refer to legal to go into if there are any questions, but for the most part, anything that was going to be appealed that, say, a director made an administrative decision or variance or anything like that, instead of going to the BOA, that'll be handled at Fulton County for the most part. I think there are some circumstances where maybe a stop work order or that sort of thing, that it still would go to the BOA.
Matt, when you say Fulton County, you're talking about Superior Court judge?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
That's correct. And this was also done for the most part in 2023, but we're kind of completing that process this time around. The rest of it's really the housekeeping edits, and you see here all the various sections. They're very minor. Sometimes it's spelling, sometimes it's number ordering. And that's really all I've got.
All right, you've heard the report of the senior planner. Any questions? We're not voting on this tonight. This is just for information.
Yeah, that's correct.
All right, Ms. Mueller.
So thank you, Matt. Question for you about when will this come back to us for approval? How long will this take for staff to actually make the changes and bring it back?
Yeah, good question. So it's as simple as it should be back to Planning Commission next month and then you guys in September, so long as everything rolls smoothly.
Mr. Baumann.
Thanks, Matt. What was the process that led you all to do these, and have there been any community stakeholder input into this, or is this just, can you just walk us through that process?
Yeah, everything you see here tonight, I don't think anything we felt like was a community stakeholder sort of need. Really, a lot of it, again, was we left it out in the 2023 process where we did get a lot of stakeholder involvement. A few of the items are simply, these are the things that we deal with every day, and we find that these would be really good ways to improve upon. And then obviously the appeal fixes and all the housekeeping, that's just part of it. So.
Okay. Are there any other topics that you're sort of still sitting on that should be brought to our attention, or?
There's always things going on that we're considering, and when's a good time to do it with everything else we've got going on. So there's certainly things that we probably have on a list somewhere unofficially, and we'll get to eventually. But right now we felt like this was a pretty good amount to handle for 1 year.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? All right, Mr. Ansbach, thank you. Appreciate it. Are there any issues that the council wishes to discuss at this time? All right, we will close the work session and move to regular order. I would like to call this meeting of the Sandy Springs City Council to order for Tuesday, July 15th, 2025. Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. I just want to remind those who would like to provide public comment at a City Council meeting are required to complete and submit those public comment cards in advance of the meeting. Public comment cards were available online at the chamber entrance. And also just a reminder, those providing public comment may be allotted up to 3 minutes to speak on their single chosen topic. As I call roll, please confirm your attendance. Mayor Rusty Paul.
Present.
Councilmember John Paulson.
Here.
Councilmember Melody Kelly. Councilmember Melissa Mueller.
Here.
Councilmember Jody Rochelle. Councilmember Tibby DiGiulio. Councilmember Andy Baumann.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, have we received any public comment cards?
Yes, we've received 5 public comment cards this evening. The first is from Faith Benda, who will be followed by Bill Griffith. Okay.
Yep, to the microphone, please. You got 3 minutes. How you want to divide it's up to you.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, we are here from our homeowners
Ma'am,
association.
I'm sorry, you can't pass anything out to council at this point.
Okay.
Just give it to the clerk. She'll make sure we get it.
Okay.
Right there. Yeah.
We're here as representatives of our homeowners association, which is located on West Fair Court, which is about maybe a quarter of a mile south of the intersection of Peachtree Dunwoody and Spalding Drive. There is an apartment complex next to us called Hawthorne Gates, and we have had tremendous problems with their lack of trash pickup and lack of management on site. The management building is closed. The pool doesn't even operate for the summer. The tenants have nowhere to go. The trash piles up. That's what the pictures are. There are rats. There are all kinds of vermin and other critters that are around, and it is a health hazard. And we would like some action taken. I think you sent us, Mr. Baumann, an email to Denise Dedamore about the situation, and I believe Ms. Rochelle came out also. And what we'd like to know is whether there is going to be some kind of action taken with this management company. We don't even know where they're located. Looked online, it's out of Dallas, and then it says maybe that a pension plan in Ontario owns them, but there is no management. And we would like to know that there's going to be regular pickup until something is done. We also were told there's a court date coming up in a couple of weeks, but we are told that meeting is closed, and we would like to be there, and we don't know why there's not government in the sunshine and transparency where we can find out exactly what is going on.
Okay. Mr. There was no reason for us to close that hearing, would there be?
It's not closed.
She's gotten some bad information from somebody.
Okay.
That's what we were told.
Well, no, it's open.
Somebody didn't tell you the truth.
It's totally open.
Okay, but the tennis courts there's a poop station for dogs.
Yeah.
It's filled with bags everywhere. It's just a real health hazard.
No,
It affects our property values.
we've been on working this. Here's the challenge that we have. You're 100% correct that the management company is out of state. Unfortunately, we have worked for several years to get the Georgia General Assembly, and thank you for stopping their time while I respond to this, to get the Georgia General Assembly to simply allow us to know who the owners are, that we would have a registry so that we would know how to get in touch with people in these kinds of situations. They have, in fact, not only have they not given us that ability, they have prohibited us from doing that, which makes it very difficult for us to go out. We have cited them. They are in court. And the city attorney and the solicitor have been working. We're going to use every tool at our disposal to try and clean that up and force them to do it. Unfortunately, given the status of the state law, our hands are somewhat tied in being able to deal with these kinds of situations. I am glad that you have brought this to our attention, because when we go back to the General Assembly in January, I'm going to take these photographs and show them why we need this information. I am just bumfuzzled, I guess is the best word I can say, to understand why we can't track this, why we're not allowed to track it, why we're not allowed to know who these people are. It's a total mystery to me, but it really ties our hands, but we're using every tool we have available to us to try and get it, because you are 100% right. It is a health hazard. It's a slum, and we need to try and be able to do what we feel like we should be able to do. But the number of tools that we have available to do it is bring them to court, fine them. Unfortunately, sometimes these owners, the fines that we're allowed to impose are just a nuisance to them rather than real punishment, because we're limited in what we can fine them as well.
Can you at least tell us that there will be a regular schedule of pickup once per week? There are over 160 units.
I know, and I wish I could, but unfortunately, they have the responsibility for working with their trash disposal or their trash pickup company And our understanding is that the trash pickup company is not picking up because they haven't been paid.
They picked up, I went over there this morning. I've gone there almost every single day. The trash was picked up today, and there were still some trash over near the tennis courts, which I reported to code enforcement. So I'm on it. I actually did find, I thought the management company was in Alpharetta, and I reached out to one of the women on Facebook, and I don't know if that helped or not, but the next few minutes later or an hour later, they were out there. So I know it wasn't just me, it's our staff, but I was out there this morning, the trash was gone.
Well, we're working as hard as we can to clean it up, but I appreciate your diligence
Okay.
in trying to force this situation. I think it's helped us.
All
So
right.
thank you.
Thank you very much. And will you let us know perhaps when that court date is so that we can attend?
Yes.
21st.
21st and 31st.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Mayor
Thank you
Paul,
very much.
ma'am, do you have another minute? Is there anything else you want to share?
I think
No,
that's all.
you've got the floor.
I think that's all.
You good?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Griffith.
He'll be followed by Jane Kelly.
I thought that clock didn't start till I started talking. Can we rewind that clock?
You just did.
Mr. Mayor and council members, I want to share some comments from some neighbors about the speeding on Roberts Drive. First, from a neighbor's email 13 months ago, quote, Roberts Drive has a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. It's not enforced, end quote. Second, some public comments from some neighbors last fall regarding the Roberts Drive side path proposal. A, quote, the basic issue that needs to be addressed on Roberts Drive is pedestrian safety. Safety has been an issue for a long time and has mostly been caused by speeding on Roberts Drive. The road has been a safety issue for years, but it's never been adequately addressed. It would be better, in my view, to add speed bumps on Roberts Drive. While perhaps inconvenient for some people, speed bumps are used in many places throughout Atlanta, could easily be used on Roberts Drive as well, end quote. B, quote, we just need a sidewalk where we are safe walking and get rid of the fast drivers to be safe, end quote. C, quote, the speeding drivers on Roberts Drive should be the top priority, end quote. And D, quote, the speeding vehicles just add to the unsafe conditions, end quote. Number 3, from a newspaper article about a neighbor, quote, he used to run up and down Roberts Drive, but had to stop because of the traffic and the speed, end quote. Number 4, from a neighbor's recent emails to his council representative. First email, quote, it appears that a number of Roberts Drive residents are also concerned about the continuing speeding. I've watched lots of drivers traveling at speeds of 40 to 60 miles an hour, and clearly safety is an issue. It is not clear why the city can't install a series of speed bumps in the areas where most of the speeding occurs. Clearly, local rules can be amended in the interest of safety, end quote. Second email, quote, while grilling dinner, a pickup sped by in excess of 60 miles an hour, end quote. Number 5, from the preceding neighbor's email to me dated April 1st regarding his last quote above, quote, the vehicle was driving as fast or faster than I have ever seen anyone drive, end quote. Number 6, from the preceding neighbor's email on May 6 to his council rep, quote, the speeding continues. Near accident a few days ago when a neighbor was leaving the community and a speeding car was very fast approaching, and a couple of minutes ago a large motorcycle was speeding on one back wheel with sparks flying from the dragging rear fender. This has to stop, end quote. Number 7, from a former across-the-street neighbor who had young children. He moved away from Roberts Drive 5 years ago. Why? Quote, mainly the speeds at which people would drive always made me nervous. Cars would fly up and down the street, well above the posted speed limit, with little to no policing, end quote. I'll be back.
Thank you, Mr. Griffith.
Mayor Paul,
Yes.
I ask a question of staff. Have we initiated, I mean, it sounds like a request, traffic calming review like we've done on several other streets. As you know, I mean, this council took up the topic of traffic calming about a month ago or 6 weeks ago, and I was hoping we would do something. It doesn't look like we are, but are we actually investigating options for this, or does this road even qualify for traffic calming?
This road does not qualify for traffic calming.
Is that a state requirement, or is that a city policy?
I believe it's a state requirement because of the amount of vehicles that are on the street every day. Marty is coming up and can speak to that. But we've also done multiple speed studies on Roberts Drive and have not seen the speeds that have been referenced by.
So don't believe their lying eyes.
And Councilwoman, back to your question, we did initiate a study. We presented those findings, and you may have heard reference to that in one of Mr. Griffin's other opportunities in front of you here in months past. But we did, he cited it before, we presented that study and those findings to him at that time, both we and PD, as a matter
All
of
right,
fact.
thank you. I reiterate, I wish we would take up the traffic calming policy. This is not just Roberts Drive. It's
Right.
speeding is in my cul-de-sac, so it's all over the city.
Right. But we considered and presented all those matters in a presentation to Mr. Griffin at that time.
All right. Ms. Kelly. And who follows?
Alton Conway, excuse me.
Okay.
Jane Kelly, 4590 Windsor Park Place. I am here regarding the fact that you will be discussing later in the meeting adding a ceramic studio to Abernathy Arts Center. I have been up here multiple times encouraging more visual arts education in Sandy Springs because it is so important. It's too bad that the original plan to add the ceramic studio fell through, but at this point, there is a new plan in front of you, and I heartily encourage you to take action. Right now, Abernathy is limited to 2 classrooms, and yet there is a huge demand for pottery classes, which we have not had since the Fulton County left the center. Classes at Spruill sell out, classes at Chastain. Abernathy used to sell out for pottery classes. The demand is there. We just need to meet it. And we have previously approved adding this capability to this center. So as well as putting a big emphasis on performing arts, please let's not forget the visual arts, and please help us get pottery classes back. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Mr. Conway.
Who's followed by Sherry Morris.
Okay.
Mayor, Council, my name is Alton Conway. My sister was murdered in Derby Hills 7 years ago, the end of last month. The trial ended about a week before that anniversary. And I'm here to thank the council, the city, and more particularly the detectives of the city of Sandy Springs for their diligent work in solving this horrendous case. When the night of the event, I called a friend of mine, Scott Jameson, who used to be one of your police officers, and asked about J.T. Williams. He said, "You got the best." About a year later, sometime before the perpetrator was caught, a friend of mine, attorney Jimmy Nay, who has handled zonings here, I think he did the Mercedes-Benz zoning, he called me up and said, "Alton, what's going on with your sister's case? Let's go have a meeting with the detective and find out." We went in, and as you know, these high-powered zoning attorneys can get any kind of dog and pony shows they want, so they know what they're looking at. We went in a little bit after 9 o'clock, a little bit after 11. We came out of that meeting, and Jimmy looked at me and said, "We can't lose this guy." And I didn't understand until we had the trial, and you spend time talking, waiting on things to happen, that I got to know the other detectives that were involved in the case. And all of a sudden, it became a realization that you have gentlemen that are educated, dedicated, and they've been empowered. I grew up as a bird hunter, and you can't hunt quail with a dog on a lead. You got to turn them loose. There was a statement made during the trial, and they made a point about how much money Sandy Springs spent on the DNA. And when I was able to get up and speak before the judge on my sister's behalf, I was pointed out. I said, "What is the price of life. Sandy Springs does not know the price of life. And all of a sudden, when seeing the way that Sandy Springs was dedicated, the dedication of these tremendous detectives, I started seeing an image of what Sandy Springs was all about. And the message, and the greatest message that you can give, is one that the receiver and the giver don't know. And somewhere, this guy will go to, he's been in Fulton County Jail, he'll go to the state prison and talk about how tough Sandy Springs is and what life will be saved in your community and your community. We don't know, but we know one thing: the message has been sent by Sandy Springs. You have an incredible group of detectives. I'm so proud to have gotten to know them, and you need to be proud of them. But the greatest thing is y'all turned them loose and gave them the tools to do what they had to do, and our family is so thankful. Thank you.
Mr. Conway, thank you.
1 second. Look at that.
Yeah, you did it. You did it. Mr. Conway, this council, this community was horrified by what happened to your sister. And as horrified as we were and the community was, our police department was even more focused on solving this case than any. I mean, they're dedicated to solving all of them, but this one was special.
Can you ask them to stand up?
Sure. All of our police officers are here, detectives. Thank you. Well, Mr. Conway, the quality of our team and our police department is why we're one of the few police departments that doesn't have vacancies. We actually have a waiting list of people who want to join this force, and it's because of the things that you pointed out. But thank you. Our heart still goes with you and your family, and we're just delighted that we can't remove the pain, but we could bring some closure to the horrific deed that happened to your sister. But thank you for being here and saying what you said tonight. All right, Ms. Morris.
Good evening. I'm Sherry Morris, representing Art Sandy Springs. And one of the items on the agenda tonight is consideration of the new modular art building at Abernathy Art Center. You all know that the old stone buildings just didn't make it. They had to come down, and there were quite a few classrooms in those buildings. And so we were left with only 2 classrooms, which, as we all know, underserves this great city and our citizens. We really appreciate the city's creativity and dedication in creating these classrooms in the modular facility. We will now be able to teach ceramics and glass fusing, greater facility for summer camp, and other activities. While it may seem costly on the surface, we want to make sure that this does not erode the potential of a great permanent art center in Sandy Springs. We've had these conversations, and we trust that it will not, because the city's done a great job. I think this is the 3rd or 4th time this particular modular facility has been deployed for a different use in the city. And when we build the new art center, that modular facility can go on to its next use, and the equipment we put in there would go into the permanent building. So this is not a sunk cost that the city will commit and not get back. So we believe it's a great use of the city's resources. We are grateful. We will continue to do our best job, and we will participate as you may want us to in any further discussion when the agenda comes up. Okay?
Thank you, Ms. Morris.
Thanks.
All right, any further? All right, we'll close the public comment period. Is there a motion to approve the meeting agenda?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. DiGiulio.
I move approval of the meeting agenda for Tuesday, July 15th, 2025. The meeting agenda with the following exception, where we go ahead and delete item 11, the executive session.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. DiGiulio to approve the meeting agenda as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Paulson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, the questions on the meeting agenda as amended. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The meeting agenda is approved. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mayor Paul.
Ms.
I
Rochelle.
move that we approve the consent agenda for July 15th.
We have a motion by Ms. Rochelle to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Rochelle, seconded by Ms. Mueller, that we approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. The question's on approval of the consent agenda. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The consent agenda is approved. Moving to public hearings, the clerk will please read the first item.
This is agenda item number 2025-131, consideration to approve the 2024 Community Development Block Grant Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report Draft. This is presented by Planning and Zoning Manager Michelle McIntosh Ross.
Ms. McIntosh Ross.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. There is no action required tonight. This is a required public hearing for the Consolidated Performance and Evaluation Report, also known as the CAPER. The CAPER is the compilation of the project activities and accomplishments associated with the city's CDBG program over the previous fiscal year. This is a required report from the city's continued participation in the program, and staff has prepared this draft 2024 CAPER. As you know, the funds received from the CDBG program has been designated to design and construct public facilities, sidewalks along Roswell Road to benefit the low to moderate income persons in the community, which meets the national objective for the CDBG program. So in summary, the progress of the projects during the reporting time period of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th of 2024 has been in accordance with the goals of the 2024 Annual Action Plan. So we are moving forward with the infrastructure projects. That is the South Roswell Road Multi-Year Sidewalk Program, design and environmental work of those streetscapes improvements. So the draft 2024 CAPER will be available for public review and comment starting tonight and will run till September 16th, which is the estimated date that I'll be back to consider adoption. So we are required to hold this public hearing tonight to inform the public of the review and comment period, and no action required.
All right. Have we had any public comment cards?
We have not.
All right, we will close the public hearing, and we will take this up at a later date. Will the clerk please read the next item?
Agenda item number 2025-132, consideration to conduct a public hearing on the 2025 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan, also presented by Planning and Zoning Manager Michelle McIntosh Ross.
Ms. McIntosh Ross.
Thank you. So again, no action required tonight. You may recall that you approved the CDBG 2025 Annual Action Plan back in May 20th of 2025. And at that time, the public notice legal newspaper ad was sent to print. We had not received the annual dollar amount, so it was not included in that ad. The actual document, the AAP that you approved on that day, did include the amount, the dollar amount that we received from HUD. But HUD has requested that we re-advertise with the dollar amount listed in the advertisement, and then to hold a required public hearing to fulfill that requirement. So we reposted the ad and included the dollar amount of $485,216. And so we're here holding the required public hearing. So no action is required. Once we've had this public hearing, we'll report to HUD, letting them know that we fulfilled that requirement.
All right, do we have any public comment cards?
We do not.
All right, we will close the public hearing. There is no action required tonight, so the clerk will please read the next item.
The next item is 2025-133. This is U-244 at 301 Johnson's Ferry Road. This is request for a conditional use permit to allow for a columbarium to be placed at an existing place of worship campus in the RE2 zoning district, presented by Planning and Zoning Manager Michelle McIntosh Ross.
Ms. McIntosh Ross.
Yes, thank you. So this is, if you could go to the next slide, or do I have to click it? Next slide. Okay. This works? Oh, okay. All right. And, all right, so here we are. So this is for U-24-4 at 301 Johnson Ferry Road, Northeast Sandy Springs. It's the Sandy Springs Christian Church. Staff recommends approval with conditions. Planning Commission recommended approval with slightly different conditions. The applicants request a conditional use permit to allow for a columbarium to be placed at an existing place of worship campus in the RE zoning district. A columbarium is a structure with niches where funeral urns may be stored. This church does not already have a cemetery or facilities to serve as the final resting place for its members. To the left, this slide shows the character area as protected neighborhood, and to the right is the zoning as RE residential estate 2 acres. To the left is an aerial of the church site, and to the right is a survey of the 5.34 acre site. The existing development on the site is a place of worship located there since the early 1970s. There is a primary structure that hosts the congregation, classrooms, a multipurpose fellowship hall with a kitchen, a pavilion, pre-kindergarten, and playground. The property abuts 7 lots in the Windham Hill neighborhood, and those are zoned RD 18, along the northeastern border. And it also abuts 3 lots in the Telfair neighborhood, and those are zoned RD 7.5, and that is towards the northwest. To the left is another aerial, and to the right is a picture of the front entry of the church. These pictures show the area where the columbarium is proposed near the existing pavilion. It is proposed to be placed to the left of the parking space where the car is parked on a new concrete pad where you see the dirt is right now. That's where the concrete pad will be located with the columbarium. These pictures are looking towards the neighbors or the neighborhoods off the back of the parking lot. The proposed development is to construct 6 columbarium structures and landscape block retaining walls on a new 448 square foot concrete pad. Each structure will be a maximum of 7.5 feet tall and a maximum of 9.5 feet wide to house a total of 240 niches. The images to the right shows examples of columbaria for illustration purposes. This is not the proposed design of what will be installed. This is the proposed layout of the columbarium structures shown in purple. The structures will face inward. The new landscaping retaining walls are shown in green. For our considerations, the use as a place of worship is an allowable use in the zoning district via conditional use permit. The use complies with nearby uses as a place of worship and accessory structures. The comprehensive plan lists place of worship as an appropriate use in protected neighborhood, and the proposal meets the use standards for the use in the district and has a minimal impact. The recommendations that we have, based on the findings, staff recommends approval of the conditional use permit U-24-4 to allow for a columbarium to be placed at an existing place of worship campus in the RE2 zoning district, subject to the following conditions as amended from the 1984 conditional use permit U-84-107. So where the text is written in blue represents the verbiage carried forward from the previous use permit. Where the text is highlighted in yellow represents the amended and or added verbiage. So for condition number 1, to the owner's agreement to restrict the use of the subject property as follows. A, church and accessory uses include, and we added, columbarium structures and a pre-kindergarten program in an expanded existing structure. So we just went ahead and added columbarium structures in there. Number 2 remains intact. Number 3, A and B remains intact. We added, edited 3C and we added 3D. And it reads as follows. As depicted in Exhibit A, parking lots and driveways to the rear of the church shall be screened from adjacent residential properties by an opaque fence at least 6 feet in height where feasible, approved by the Director of Community Development, and to be completed before the installation of the columbarium, as shown on the Exhibit A in the area indicated by the orange line. As depicted in D, as depicted in Exhibit A, parking lots and driveways on the rear side of the church shall be screened from the adjacent residential properties by landscaping at least 6 feet to 8 feet installed height where feasible, approved by the Director of Community Development, and to be completed before the installation of the columbarium. The owner shall replace any dead or dying plantings within the first 3 years after installation, as shown on the Exhibit A, in the area indicated by the green line. After the 3-year period, the owner shall maintain in a healthy growing condition all the plantings installed for the purposes of screening the residential neighbors. And we added 3I, which reads, comply with the requirement set forth in the Georgia Cemetery and Funeral Act of 2000 or federal, state, and regional law. So this is located in OCGA 10-14. So we added I. So this is just an image of the opaque fence that we're speaking of, if anybody needed a visual. Okay, so conditions 4 and 5 remain intact, and then we added condition number 6, which reads, development must be substantially similar to the site plan received by the Community Development Department on April 22nd, 2005. This shows the Exhibit A that I referenced for conditions 3C and 3D. I mentioned that the Planning Commission recommended approval amending staff's conditions. The Planning Commission recommended approval with staff's conditions with the note that the entire barrier be fencing. So their note was that the requirement for the barrier along the parking lot not be a combination of fencing and plantings, but be fencing only throughout the entire barrier. We also were made aware this weekend that the neighbors may have come to a consensus on the condition regarding the fencing, and the applicant will speak to that as well. But as far as public comment, we had 3 throughout that was submitted through the portal. 2 at the time was in opposition, but again, we've gotten word that there has been some consensus about that. So that is my presentation. Any questions?
All right, we'll move to the public hearing, and then we'll follow up. Do we have any public comment cards?
We've received notice that the applicant would like to speak.
All right, we'll call the applicant forward. And there's a limit on time?
Yes, we'll have the 10-minute clock, but the applicant also has a presentation that they wish to share tonight, and I don't think we could display both at the same time. So.
Okay, thank you.
It's coming up.
Okay, well, don't want to.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Can do. Jordan Edwards with the Galloway Law Group, 4062 Peachtree Road, Atlanta. Here representing the church tonight in this request for a conditional use permit that would allow a columbarium to be built at an existing place of worship in the RE2 district at 301 Johnston Ferry Road here in Sandy Springs. I guess this works here? It does. Okay. So I don't want to rehash too much of what staff has already covered. A columbarium, the structure itself, is essentially a grid of 1 foot by 1 foot stainless steel boxes. That grid is encased in a poured concrete or granite structure, a cabinet, if you will. And then that structure is encased itself in further architectural material, usually masonry or brick, as in the cases here that match the architecture of the church that it is attached to. I've got here a short list of churches in the area that have columbaria. This is by no means a complete list. Columbarium are frankly very common. They are at churches throughout Sandy Springs and surrounding communities. And like I said, this is a short list. I developed this in about an hour from my computer. Surely there are many, many more. So this is a common feature of churches. Here are a few examples close to home. Two of these are in Sandy Springs. The other two are in Dunwoody. I have visited many of them. They are universally quiet, peaceful places, and candidly pretty easy to overlook unless you know what you're looking for. The church's proposed columbarium would be similar to these in character. It would be on the small side. Here I've superimposed the columbarium site plan on an aerial, so you can see that it's on the back side of this church where it's away from the noise of Johnson Ferry Road, in a corner there between the church building itself and the pavilion that's on the back side of the property. You've already seen a picture of where it would go. That area is essentially just slightly larger than a standard parking space. So again, this is a very small columbarium, even on relative to a columbarium in the area. Here's a more detailed view of that site plan. I've marked for you where with those blue arrows, the direction that the niches would be facing. So they face interior towards the columbarium area. You see it's roughly in the shape of a capital E. The similar pattern is repeated on the bottom side of it. So you only see those niche doors or the covers if you're on the inside of the columbarium area. If you're outside the columbarium area, all you would see is a stone masonry wall. So you can see I've got a swatch there. That's a photograph taken from the building that's part of the pavilion that's adjacent to where the site is. Again, the key here that they want to do is match the existing architecture to the building that's already out there right now. So that closest wall of the columbarium is more than 130 feet away from the nearest property line, so plenty of distance, plenty of buffer. Even if you could see the columbarium, again, you'd only see a stone wall that matches the stone walls that are already out there. Just so you know, the Development Code does establish use standards for cemeteries and mausoleums. We're interpreting that as applying to columbariums also. The proposal meets all of these standards. For what it's worth, the church, even though it was built 50 years ago in 1971, it meets all the use standards for places of worship too. Now these use standards, they don't include any requirements for screening. And screening was the big topic of conversation in our dialogue with our adjacent neighbors. So this case was filed last year, and for the past 3 or 4 months, what we've been talking about most is screening. So the screening is not so much about screening the columbarium itself as it is screening the views from neighboring properties of the church itself and the church's driveways. Mentioned earlier, I think by staff, in 1984, Fulton County approved a use permit for an expansion of the day school. So the day school has been operating here since 1973. In the early 80s, they went to expand. And one of the conditions on the approved special use permit went towards screening of those driveways. Not very well written, in my opinion, but standard for the time. And so the topic of our conversation with neighbors has been how do we rework the screening requirement in a way that is satisfactory to everybody. So this is the old screening requirement, condition number 3C. That's what we'll be looking to amend here tonight. Even very recently, as was mentioned, we've been working with the neighbors and the church have together formulated this condition that, again, would replace condition 3C. Essentially, what it requires is a 6-foot opaque fence in the area marked with that blue line. So this goes quite a bit farther than the condition that staff recommended to you all a minute ago. Landscaping will not be part of the screening, just the opaque fence. And I also want to point out that behind the fence, in the area between the fence and the property line on the northeast side, that is a pretty thickly forested buffer. It's 70 feet wide at its narrowest. It's 100 feet wide in other areas. Other parts of the property are forested as well around the western side of the property. And you've also got hedges in place, 4 and 5 foot tall hedges on other parts of the property that aren't where the fence is going. So there is great screening here. There's great buffer here. The fence is going to add to that. And like I said, we've got consensus with the neighbors on the wording of that condition right there. So with that said, the last thing I want to leave you with is how important this is to the church. They've been working to do this for a very long time. It's important to their members. Many other members are here tonight to represent the congregation. So together, we all ask that you approve this conditional use permit tonight, subject to this condition, which would replace the existing 3C. All the other conditions that staff recommended to you are fine by us. With that said, I'm happy to answer any questions you've got, but I'll reserve any time I've got left just in case.
All right, thank you. Any other comment cards?
No.
All right, we'll close the public hearing. And you've heard the report of the applicant and the planning and zoning manager. What's the desire of council?
Mayor Paul,
Ms. Mueller.
I move that we approve agenda item 2025-133 to approve U-24-4 301 Johnson Ferry Road, request for a conditional use permit to allow a columbarium to be placed at an existing place of worship campus in the RE-2 zoning district with staff's recommended conditions amended to strike conditions 3C and 3D and replace it with a new condition 3C to read as follows. 3C, opaque fencing made of solid wood or other materials that cannot be seen through at least 6 feet in height from the ground surface shall be installed in the location indicated on the attached fencing exhibit dated July 8, 2025, prior to the construction of the columbarium and shall be regularly maintained by the applicant.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Mueller. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Mueller, seconded by Dr. Kelly, that we approve agenda item 2025-133, a conditional use permit to allow a columbarium to be placed at an existing place of worship campus in RE2 zoning district as amended. Any further discussion? Ms. Mueller.
So I want to say thank you to the neighborhood and the church for working together. I know that it's not always easy when you have two different points of view. It's always best if you can come to a decision so others are not making it for you. I think that. I also think that this is a lesson in not being, the church has been out of compliance since 1984. We had, up until now, I don't think there were any code enforcement cases. One of the things I think that we should consider is that when we have conditions, we always put the onus on our residents to keep the conditions straight. And as time changes and people move in and out of neighborhoods, it's very hard to keep track of that. And the only place that that's kept is the city knows about those. Now, I know that I'm cautious about what I'm asking for, but I think that there should be a way that we can manage this, because I know just since I've been on council, we've had conditions that haven't been maintained, and then it turns into some kind of a fracas as you get to the end to try to figure that out. So I think, and maybe this is a question for Ginger, I know or Kristen, some municipalities do performance bonds. Could we do a performance bond in some cases to make sure that after a certain period of time that things are maintained? I know a lot of our conditions often say for 3 years they'll go and do something. I mean, can we do that? I think Roswell does it, and I think maybe Lawrenceville does that.
That's not something that we've looked into before, but we certainly can. We have started with recent conditions, especially where we have landscaping and things like that. We've been adding in the 3-year requirement because that helps us with enforcement. But we can certainly look at performance bonds and see if that's something that is worth pursuing.
Yeah, so it's not for this one, but I think this is an idea, a concept I think that would warrant looking into. And I do believe that we need to figure out a better job of how we can manage conditions.
Ms. Mueller, I'm going to have to cut you off. Okay. I'm going to recognize you again because you're speaking to a motion that has not yet been seconded.
Okay.
So I need. I'm sorry. You're right. My apologies. I had put my glasses on top of her name and didn't see it. My apologies. Continue.
Okay. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was, in this case,
is that I think, isn't there a slide that shows the variances that have been granted in the past to this property? Wasn't that part of the package somewhere listed? Don't we normally do that?
So it's in one of the tables in the staff report. So it is on, page 2, previous zoning cases. So there was the U84-107, and then there were a couple variances, and then there was a U08-012 with a concurrent variance.
And I think one of them was for the light, right? Or I mean, sorry, the sign and how much it can scroll. So again, this kind of goes back to when we grant conditions and variances, how do we make sure they're in compliance without having our other residents monitor that? That's a question. I don't know who to answer.
That is very tricky and would take a lot of staff power to go through. If you can imagine how many variances and cases there are on this one property, how many we have across the entire city, there are a lot. So that could be certainly a project that we could take up, but I would tell you it would consume a lot of staff time and resources.
Maybe not all, but I think on certain, when we do conditions, especially conditions of zoning, I do think that just personally, I think that's something we should look into. But of course, I need other people to weigh in on that. Thank you.
I promise not to put my glasses down on my paperwork again and obscure my handwriting here. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll call the question. The question's on agenda item 2025-133, a conditional use permit to allow a columbarium to be placed at an existing place of worship at 301 Johnson Ferry Road in the RE2 zoning district. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The item is approved. The clerk will please read the next item.
Agenda item number 2025-134. This is ABL number 27935. Consideration of approval of an alcoholic beverage license application for Armand Enterprises LLC, doing business as Sinclair. And this is at 5600 Roswell Road, Building G100, presented by Corey Holiness, Revenue Manager.
Ms. Holiness.
Good evening, Mayor Paul and City Council. This is an alcohol license for District 6. This is a new alcohol license for consumption on the premises of wine, malt beverage, and distilled spirits. Armand Enterprise LLC, DBA Sinclair at 5600 Roswell Road, Building 6, Sandy Springs, Georgia, 30342. The applicant, Gabrielle Mecca, has met all requirements and staff recommends approval.
Do we have any public comment cards?
We do not.
All right, we'll close the public hearing. You've heard the report of the Finance Department. What's the desire of council? Mr. Baumann.
I move that we approve agenda item, I'm going slow, 2025-134, request for alcoholic beverage license for Armand Enterprises, DBA Sinclair, 5600 Roswell Road.
Have a motion by Mr. Baumann. Is there a second? Motion by Mr. Baumann, seconded by Ms. Rochelle, that we approve agenda item 2025-134, an alcoholic beverage license application for Armand Enterprises, doing business as Sinclair, 5600 Roswell Road. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. The question's on agenda item 2025-134, approval of an alcoholic beverage license application for Armand Enterprises. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The item is approved. The clerk will please read the next item.
Agenda item number 2025-135. This is ABL number 27887. Consideration of approval of an alcoholic beverage license application for HVM 915 ATL Perimeter LLC, doing business as Homewood Suites Atlanta Perimeter at 915 Crestline Parkway, Sandy Springs, Georgia, 30328. The applicant is Zandy Chopra for consumption on the premises of wine and malt beverages, also presented by Corey Holiness, Revenue Manager.
Ms. Holiness.
Thank you. This is alcohol license for District 3. This is a change of ownership for consumption of the premises of wine and malt beverage, HVM 915 ATL Perimeter LLC, DBA Homewood Suites Atlanta Perimeter, 915 Crestline Parkway, Sandy Springs, Georgia, 30328. The applicant, Andy Cobra, has met all requirements and staff recommends approval.
We have any public comment cards?
We do not.
All right, we'll close the public hearing. You've heard the report of the revenue manager. What's the desire of council?
Mayor Paul,
Ms. Mueller.
I move that we approve agenda item 2025-135, ABL number 27387, for the approval of an alcoholic beverage license application for HVM-915 ATL Perimeter LLC, doing business as Homewood Suites Atlanta Perimeter at 915 Crestline Parkway, Sandy Springs, Georgia.
We have a motion by Ms. Mueller. Is there a second? Motion by Ms. Mueller, seconded by Ms. Rochelle, that we approve agenda item 2025-135, an alcoholic beverage license application for HVM 915 ATL Perimeter, doing business as Homewood Suites Atlanta Perimeter at 915 Crestline Parkway. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. The question's on agenda item 2025-135, the alcoholic beverage license application for HVM 915 Atlanta Perimeter, doing business as Homewood Suites Atlanta Perimeter. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The item is approved. The clerk, please read the next item.
Agenda item number 2025-136. This is ABL number 27119. Consideration of approval of an alcoholic beverage license application for LTF Club Operations Company, Inc., doing business as Lifetime, and that's at 8 Concourse Parkway, Sandy Springs, Georgia, 30328. The applicant is Sharon E. Randall for consumption on the premises of beer, wine, and distilled spirits. Presented by Revenue Manager Corey Holiness.
Ms. Holiness.
Thank you. Alcohol license for District 5. This is a change of ownership for consumption on the premises of wine, malt beverage, and distilled spirits. LTF Club Operations Company, LLC, DBA Lifetime, 8 Concourse Parkway, Sandy Springs, Georgia, 30328. The applicant, Sharon Elizabeth Randall, has met all requirements and staff recommends approval.
Received any public comment cards?
We have not.
All right, we will close the public hearing. You've heard the report of the revenue manager. What's the desire of council?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. DiGiulio.
I move approval of item 2025-136, alcoholic beverage license number 27119, approval of an alcoholic beverage license for LTF Club, a club operating company doing business as Lifetime, 8 Concourse Parkway in Sandy Springs.
Have a motion by Mr. DiGiulio. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. DiGiulio, seconded by Ms. Mueller, that we approve agenda item 2025-136, the alcoholic beverage license application for LTF Club Operations Company, doing business as Lifetime. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. The question's on agenda item 2025-136, approving the alcoholic beverage license application for LTF Club Operations Company, doing business as Lifetime at 8 Concourse Parkway. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The item is approved. Moving to new business, the clerk will please read the next item.
Agenda item number 2025-137, consideration of a resolution to approve a contract award to Rubio & Sons Interiors, Inc. to modify existing modular building at Abernathy Arts for temporary arts facility and to authorize the city manager to execute the contract. Presented by Director of Facilities, Capital Construction and Building Operations, Dave Wells.
Mr. Wells.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In 2021, the Abernathy Arts Center, located at 254 Johnson's Ferry Road, was transferred from the city from Fulton County. The 3.59-acre site included several aging structures, notably a 1930 stone art building, which had suffered from significant structural, electrical, and accessible deficiencies. In January 2022, Council allocated $1 million for the Abernathy Arts Center site improvements project. The city contracted Menifee Architect to assess the condition of the facilities. Their evaluation confirmed that the extensive repairs were required across the site. In February 2024, the city demolished the deteriorating stone buildings to clear the site and make way for the development of a temporary ceramic arts facility. To provide a functional interim facility for ceramic arts programming, staff proposed modifying the existing modular building already on the site. These upgrades will bring the building into compliance with our operational safety and accessibility standards. Staff collaborated with Menifee Architect and Ruby & Son, the project's general contractor, to define the scope of work of the project. The project will be delivered through a competitively procured State of Georgia contract utilizing the Gordian pricing, which ensures both cost efficiencies and compliance with state procurement requirements. Rubio's scope for the project includes enhancing the exterior to align the aesthetics to the surrounding arts campus, reconfiguring interior spaces to support flexible arts programming, upgrading the utilities to current safety codes, and ensuring full compliance with ADA standards. The proposed cost for the modular building modifications is $599,947.60. Funding is available within the existing budget for the Abernathy Arts Center Improvement Project. Staff recommends contract award to Ruby & Son Interiors, Inc., in the amount of $599,947.60 for the modification of the Abernathy Arts Center's temporary arts facility, and to authorize the city manager to execute the contract.
You've heard the report of the Director of Facilities, Capital Construction, and Building Operations. What's the desire of council?
Mayor Paul.
Ms. Mueller.
I move that we approve agenda item 2025-137, a resolution to approve a contract award to Rubio & Son Interiors, Inc. to modify existing modular building at Abernathy Arts Center for temporary arts facility, and to authorize the city manager to execute the contract.
We have a motion by Ms. Mueller. Is there a second? Motion by Ms. Mueller, seconded by Mr. DiGiulio, that we approve agenda item 2025-137, a contract award to Rubio & Son Interiors to modify an existing modular building at Abernathy Arts for a temporary arts facility, and to authorize the city manager to execute the contract. Is there any discussion? Ms. Mueller.
So, Dave, a question on the decking is, I know that we've had, I think that there were designs that were around, I think, when, either all the way around or partially around. I know that this is a temporary, and what's important, really important, is inside, but also outside, so people can, maybe paint outside, do something outside. Is there another, maybe different cost-effective, other than doing a deck? I'm just asking the question. I don't know if that's...
Well, the building does sit up higher than the elevation of the ground, so we will have to build something to get the ADA compliance up there.
I see.
The deck is addition. We did have the process where we reduced the size of the deck to get the pricing back in. We did take out the Trex decking and use pressure-treated lumber. So we did do some cost-effective reductions in the deck.
And then I see that we are planning on having furniture, right? It's not just going to be blank. I mean, because it shows here there will be furniture for people to sit.
On the deck?
Yes.
Yes.
And then will there be any kind of shade? Hopefully there will be.
Some of the trees are still remaining out there. They're pretty big specimen trees that are...
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure that whatever's put there, that we make sure that we do have some, if we need shade, that we have it. And I think that was my only question. And I'm really glad that we're doing this, because I think that it's been how many years now since we've had pottery classes?
Since COVID. Pre-COVID.
Yeah, pre-COVID. So the community's waited a long time, and I think that we need to do this, because if we don't do this now, I know, as Ms. Moore said, we have to, keep looking forward to a plan for the future, but we have to address what we have now and then look forward and plan for that. And maybe this stays in this location and we do something else somewhere else. We don't know yet. But I think we need to address what we have in front of us today.
Any discussion? Ms. Rochelle.
I am concerned about putting so much money into a temporary facility, and I know there was talk about making the deck smaller, and that would save a couple $100,000. Is that right? And also, I don't want this to preclude us from moving forward with a permanent structure. I mean, our residents deserve a good, beautiful building, and I am wondering where we are going with this as far as putting a permanent location or a permanent building, because there was talk about putting it in City Springs, which I would prefer City Springs too, but there was also talk about putting it, a permanent building here, where this one is, the temporary location is going to be. So which one is it? And if we do decide to put a permanent one where this temporary one is, how does that work?
So we're designing this for a temporary 5 to 10 year type building.
You're 5 to 10 years you're expecting this to be? We're not going to build a permanent structure for 5 to 10 years?
It depends on funding availability and the concurrence of the council moving forward on City Springs 2 or other options. I will remind council that we did do the expanded deck. And Caroline, if you can pull up the first sheet of the stamped approved drawings, you can see the larger footprint of the deck. And because we were doing the expanded deck, we had to remove the funding that was also incorporated here for a master site plan for the overall entire project. If council would like to shrink the size of the deck, which Caroline, if you can hover over it in the lower right corner there, we could discuss this with Dave earlier today. We could potentially shrink that down to $100,000 instead of the $259,000 that the deck is currently scheduled to cost, and that would give us the money to begin a site planning process.
So if we approve this tonight, you're saying that this is going to keep us, and I am in favor of that at least, but you're saying that if we went ahead and approved this, that it would be 5 to 10 years before we possibly get a permanent structure. If we don't approve this tonight, then what happens?
We are designing this for the option to be able to use it for 5 to 10 years, considering what the future outcome may be of council. And even if there was a decision to move forward with City Springs 2 on January 1st, you're still 3 years away from having something there, because you have to reach consensus and we have to have a developer. There are a lot of moving parts and pieces with that. So we believe this is a good opportunity to be able to meet the needs to deliver ceramic programming to the community. It doesn't have to be for 10 years, but it is being constructed so that it could last that long.
Mr. DiGiulio.
Mr. Mayor, I think this is an additional one of the items that we have been promising people and we have been working towards. And we have, if I remember correctly, Eden, we've already put the money in the budget for this year to take care of this. And I think that even if we go ahead and do more development in the Art Center, this would still be usable there. It's not like it's a diminishing asset. This is the same asset we've used. Is this the third time we've used it?
This will be the third time, correct?
This will be the third time we use it, and after this, we'll probably use it a fourth time, et cetera. But I think this is an excellent idea. We've got the money. We've got the plans. Let's just go ahead and get it done.
Mr. Baumann.
Hey, Paul, thank you. So I think you may have answers. How long can, setting aside what we might do, how long could this thing last as configured?
As long as it's maintained, it can last for quite some time.
More than 5 to 10 years. And can let me back up. How much of the $1 million, when we spend this, because this was 2022, we approved $1 million. How much of that have we spent so far?
We've spent, so far, for putting the building in place, demolishing the buildings and putting this in place, we spent a little over $300,000.
All right, so we're pushing up on the budget. This is around 600, but we're still under the $1 million that we've already debated and we've already voted on it. Can the upgraded modular units be repurposed again later? And some of this money includes the interior finishings for the ceramics that could be moved to a new art center. Is that right?
Yes, they're sitting on piers.
All right, so it's not all sunken costs. Let's focus on the use to the community. What are the estimated numbers? We have 2 classrooms right now in the building. I visited this summer. Thank you, Dina, for welcoming there. What are the estimated numbers of participants that can be served in these classrooms? There are 12-person classrooms. Okay. How many classes per day? 8, 10 classes potentially? 7? 5. So we're looking at 50, 60, 70, and then between 2 classrooms, so that's 2 classrooms. We're looking at 100 people. How many? Okay. Okay. So I could do pretty simple math. We're looking at now not thousands of different people, but thousands of people days a year. Is that right? And we all agree that the demand way exceeds our current capacity. So we're doubling it. I think I agree. This is not a long-term vision. Many of us have for arts in Sandy Springs. We deserve the city, the community deserves a permanent, high-quality arts center, and I intend to be part of that solution, likely through a future community-led bond or broader parks investment. I mean, whether it's with a developer, and absolutely on January 1st, if I'm still around here, that's a conversation I want to see this city have. But in the meantime, we have an urgent demand that's been unfulfilled for years. This interim step doubles our current classroom capacity, which translates to as many as 100 people per day, including after-school, evening, and weekend uses, and especially important during the summer. I've spoken with members of the art community. Thank you for being here. You've spoken. I know you're grateful for the additional capacity, but you've made clear, and I agree, that this cannot be the final chapter. This vote tonight doesn't replace the broader investment our arts community will ultimately need. We can't be short-sighted. Let's not confuse political posturing with real planning. I say we do this. This thing can be used for these purposes and other. We've skinnied it down. I thank you for doing that. We're within budget. Let's stop screwing around with this. I will be supporting this because it's a measured, temporary solution to a real problem, and I want it on record that it does not end the conversation. It moves it forward.
I do have one more question.
Hold on just a second. Anybody else? Dr. Kelly.
Okay, great. I have a couple of questions and then a comment. Why did the original plan fall through?
The contractor was unable to secure the needed insurance and bonding.
Got it. Okay, great. All right. I just want to make sure I understand, because this is the first I'm hearing that. So essentially, this, at least for the time being, we approve this, it kills the space that we had to support a master plan for the site, right? Which is something I always thought we could do both at the same time. So that does concern me. I am going to vote in favor of this, but I just want to state that I really want to see us fund the master plan for the Abernathy site. Did we not have a number for, I feel like I saw a number somewhere.
We did.
About how much?
We did, but the larger deck
Yeah.
meant that it used up the money that would have
Okay.
been used for
And
the
you said
master
that was
plan.
how much? 100? About
If you
100?
want to reduce the size of the deck,
Yeah.
which of the 599, approximately 250,000 is the deck,
I'm asking how much the master plan would be.
around $75,000 to $100,000.
Okay, like a typical master
Yes.
plan. Okay, so yeah, that's, I guess what I'm advocating for is for a future fiscal year to put that back somehow, because I don't think I realized that we were compromised in that. Thank you.
Ms. Rochelle.
So if we to what Dr. Kelly just said, if we decide to make a smaller deck right now, then we can continue with the master plan.
We can certainly reallocate the funds if you would like to.
Well, I would like to make a motion to make it a smaller deck and continue with the master plan.
How much smaller?
We've got a motion on the floor.
Yeah, she's amending the motion on the floor.
I'm sorry, amend the motion. How much would it change the deck?
100,000 would probably get you an ADA ramp into the doors and a small deck on the front end of it.
But it would not be a wraparound like you see in the plans here.
But we would be able to continue with the master plan.
It would free up funding in the current budget, yes.
Is there a reason not to do that?
Ms. Rochelle, I need to get a second before we continue this discussion.
All right.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Now you have the floor. To discuss the amendment. To shrink the deck, but we don't know how much yet. $100,000 worth?
If there's a majority for this, I'd kind of see us table this and come back with an alt plan. I'm not in favor of doing this because.
Well, Ms. Rochelle has the floor.
Okay. I think this
As the
motion
maker of the motion, she has the
I think the
floor.
motion's out of order because it's non-specific. I just don't,
Well,
I don't even know what the motion is.
I'm
We're going to give her an
amending.
opportunity to refine the motion.
I want to amend the motion so that we can continue with a master plan, make it a smaller deck. I would like to know how much smaller it would have to be.
We had to go back in and redesign it.
How much will that cost?
To redesign, it'd be some more money to redesign it, so.
If I may offer, allow me to work with Tony and see if I can come up with $75,000 from somewhere else.
Well, let me remind everybody of one basic fundamental fact. This council can set the budget at any level it wants. If the city manager can't find the money, the council can instruct the city manager through the budget process to find the money. You may have to reallocate it to from somewhere else, but the budget is not an obstacle to this process. If the council is so determined or so mindful to do something, you control the budget. So let's not worry about where the money's coming from at this point. If you decide you want to do it, you will vote and instruct the city staff to do it. Okay?
Can I ask a point of inquiry or something?
Yes, you may.
On the numbers that were given, this is a $599, I think, is what we're approving. Is that right? And a few dollars. And you just said there were $300,000 roughly spent before. We budgeted and have set aside $1 million for this. My seventh grade math tells me that leaves $100,000. We're probably there anyway, or we're certainly close, aren't we?
We have a couple extra pieces of this. We have electrical that's outside of the $599.
Okay. Well, all right.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor, for the clarification.
Sure, no problem. Mr. Paulson, we're still speaking to the amendment.
That's correct, the amendment to make the deck smaller.
Right.
So I first moved into my house, there was a deck, and literally, it was so small, I wish they hadn't even put it in yet. And the idea of chintzy, not the right word, reducing the size of this deck to the point where, because we're trying to find some money here, to the point where, and this does not look like an exorbitant deck, my suggestion is, let's leave this alone. City managers offered to go try to find some money and come back to us so that we can advance the study going forward. I would suggest that's what we do.
Any other discussion? Dr. Kelly.
I just want to say, to be clear, at least for me, it's just I hate to see the master planning, the funding for that go away. Because when things go away, they tend not to come back or they get lost. I would encourage us to find the money. That's where I'm standing on that.
The council has that prerogative. Mr. DiGiulio.
May I mention to Dr. Kelly that in 20 years on this council, nothing has ever gone away. We've always found the money to do planning and to get jobs done. And I don't see any way that this council would not find some funds to get a master plan done. We've done, so many master plans on so many different things. So I don't think that really would be a problem for us to allocate that money.
Any further discussion?
May I make
Mr.
one
Baumann.
other inquiry of Kristen? Kristen, don't we have a large budget for a Parks and Rec master plan coming through? Is that right?
We do. You have money allocated in the fiscal year 2026 budget for a Parks and Recreation master plan.
Is there anything that would preclude that scope of work from including Abernathy or amending that scope of work to include Abernathy?
No.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Yes, I just want to say that it's just like Dr. Kelly said, I want this to move forward. I do not want to be in a temporary facility for 5 to 10 years. Our citizens deserve better than that. It's a very popular, as they said, as we've heard, that it's very popular with our residents, and that is my issue, is I want to move this forward for a permanent building for our arts.
Okay. We're going to call the question. The question is on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment? The amendment is to shrink the deck. We don't have a number. If we vote this, then the staff will have to go back and redesign the facility.
Well, we need to know whether she's going to have the money. You think you're going to find the money? Okay.
So the amendment, like the mayor is saying, is just to shrink the deck. I told you I will come back with a plan for how we can fund if you guys want to move forward with the one before you.
Okay. We're in the question, so the debate is over. You can make a parliamentary inquiry, but debate is over. All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Unless she
no.
finds some money.
No.
The amendment fails. We're back to the original, to the main motion. Is there any further discussion on the main motion? Hearing none, we'll call the question on the main motion. The main motion, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The main motion carries. All right. Clerk will please read the next item.
Mayor Paul,
Mr. Baumann.
did that get recorded as a 6-0 vote?
I have a 6-0 vote. I didn't hear any no's.
Thank you.
Clerk, please read the next item.
This is agenda item number 2025-138, consideration of a resolution to approve a contract award to Structural Restoration Solutions, Inc. for parking deck repairs and to authorize the city manager to execute the contract. This is presented by Facilities, Capital Construction, and Building Operations Director Dave Wells.
Mr. Wells, hope you had more fun on this one than you did the last one.
In 2024, the city contracted with Walter B. Moore to perform a conditional assessment of the parking deck located here at Columbus Way. The parking deck is jointly used for city and Greystar development and is subject to an existing cost-sharing agreement. The assessment was initiated due to growing concerns about structural integrity of the deck, which exhibited signs of deterioration, including concrete cracking, water infiltration, and failed expansion joints. Walter P. Moore report identified several key areas requiring repair to preserve structural integrity and to extend the service life of the facility. Recommended improvements include concrete spall and crack repairs, expansion joint replacements, waterproofing and surface sealant applicants, and structural reinforcement in critical areas. Based on the assessment, the city issued an RFQP in April of 2025 to solicit proposals for qualified contractors capable of executing these types of recommended repairs. The city received 3 bids: Metro Waterproofing, Inc., Restcon, LLC, and Structural Restoration Solutions, Inc. A selection committee comprised of city staff reviewed all proposals based on the key criteria, including relevant experience, proposed methodology, responsiveness, and cost. The evaluation committee members included myself, Dave Wells, Director of Facilities, Capital Construction, Richard Collins, City's Construction Manager, and Carl Ziegenmeyer, the city's facilities manager. Proposals were evaluated on the following criteria: the cost proposal, project understanding and approach, schedule and project time, relevant experience, and past experience of key personnel. Structural Restoration Solutions, Inc. was determined to be the most qualified firm offering the best value for the city. Their proposal totaled at $599,407. and included a scope aligned with the repair recommendations outlined in Walter P. Moore's assessment. Under the cost-sharing agreement, the city will finance the full cost of the project up front. Upon completion, Greystar will reimburse the city for proportional shares. Staff recommends the mayor and council approve a resolution approving a contract award to Structural Restoration Solutions, Inc. in the amount of $599,407 for the parking deck repairs here at 1 Columbus Way.
You've heard the report of the Director of Facilities, Capital Construction, and Building Operations. What's the desire of council?
Mayor Paul,
Ms. Mueller.
I move that we approve agenda item 2025-138, the resolution to approve a contract award to Structural Restoration Solutions, Inc. for parking deck repairs and authorize the city manager to execute the contract.
Have a motion by Ms. Mueller. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Mueller, seconded by Mr. Paulson, that we approve agenda item 2025-138, a resolution approving a contract award to Structural Restoration Solutions for parking deck repairs. Any discussion? Ms. Mueller.
So Dave, if we go ahead and we do these repairs, what is the process and the next time we would be looking at doing a bigger set of repairs?
So this will be an ongoing set of repairs, probably lasts us about a year.
Okay.
They're going to be going through the parking deck, hitting all the cracks and the spalling, things like that. We will be on an annual basis of inspection with Walter P. Moore to come in and check the deck for any other repair. This will be an ongoing repairs towards the parking
This
deck.
is the first big one we've had
This
since
is.
it was
We-
built,
it's
correct?
We've been open for a little over 8 years now. Parking deck was built, it was built in 2017, so it's been open since 2018, and this is our first major inspection.
It was just normal wear and tear.
Yes.
Correct, so,
Yes, it
okay,
is.
thank you.
Any other discussion?
Mayor Paul.
Mr. Paulson.
Hey, Dave. And you and I have talked a little bit about this. Is anything that we're repairing fall under the warranty from the original construction? The severity of some of these repairs makes me think something wasn't done correctly when we first built this. Is there any of this under warranty?
No, sir. The warranty ended after 2 years, construction warranty. And we discussed this with Walter B. Moore, and this is common wear and tear in a parking deck. Our parking deck gets used an awful lot, especially the precast parking deck with the residential that's constantly moving through the parking deck.
So this is not unexpected. It was unexpected to me. It looked like some of these are so severe that there's a defect in it. But assuming you're correct, that's fine. What kind of warranty are we getting for these repairs? How long are these repairs going to last? Because, in 7 or 8 years, we've got some significant deterioration. Are we going to be back here in 3 or 4 years fixing the same thing we're going to try to fix here in the next couple of months?
Yeah, I believe we'll get our standard 1-year contract with that warranty.
Okay, so it's a 1-year warranty.
Mm-hmm.
And will we have an inspection process going forward so that
We will.
in the future things
With
don't
Walter
get
B.
this
Moore,
bad?
we will, yes.
Okay, and by the way, one final question. Is any of this structural integrity? There's a couple of these spots that are pretty significantly corroded. I don't know whether that's surface corrosion, I couldn't tell, but there's some significant metal corrosion there. Is there any question about stability of any of these iron structures that have seen this corrosion? I didn't read any in the report, but it's a tough report to go through. There's no question about structural integrity of things that have been degraded over the last 8 years. Do they need to be replaced, or can they be
Well, we are
just
like
cleaned up?
in the T-clips, we're replacing the bushings in there, the actual pads that the plates bounce on. And that'll extend the longevity of those, the actual concrete plates. The post-tension crack, we're going in to repair that. That's just one area.
And that's sealing it, right?
Yeah, and the rest of them are spalling, and that's for moisture in that deck. That deck gets a lot of moisture down there, especially in the humid times of the years.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mayor Paul.
Mr. Baumann.
So first, I just want to say, I've been serving with Councilman Paulson for 12 years, and the entire time, I'm really grateful to have an engineer on here. Although I know we talked about this may be a little bit outside your expertise, I'm happy to be the lawyer. We've got different skills up here. I think it's kind of nice to serve with people with varying skills. I don't want to leap to the assumption that this is normal wear and tear. I don't know that it is. I don't know that it isn't. It seems like a lot. We're getting ready to be a partner with Trammell Crow and another deck. Be interesting to watch that. They're the lead on this, but hopefully in our agreements, it'll be interesting to see what they do with materials testing, and this city is probably not done with decks, I think, going forward. So I hope we have some lessons learned from that. But I am concerned. Were these repairs in our 5-year? They were. How long have they been there, Eden? Do you know off the top? Have they been there for a while?
Yeah,
when it appeared?
We put it in last year when we noticed the crack.
Okay.
And because we didn't know the magnitude of the damage. And it's really not that bad. This is more preventative maintenance, so it doesn't lead to something.
I read the report. It didn't read that way to me, but okay. But it raises the question, we've got significant facilities now. We've got this facility. We built, an amazing, amazing police headquarters where we stripped a building and have rebuilt that. We're building new fire stations. We are, as a city, undertaking substantial facility assets and risk on our balance sheet. So I return to something we've discussed for years. And do we start thinking about, for planning purposes, some sort of sinking fund? I don't believe it was a requirement from our bond on the bonding, but do we internally at some point start thinking about, or is that just going to be in our 5-year planning, or do we really start setting aside, maybe looking from a fiscal planning basis for these complicated buildings, some level of contingency reserves from a sinking fund?
It's in our 5-year CIP, and you'll recall in the 26 budget process, we did request funding for an updated facility condition assessment.
Yeah.
And that will give us an indication of the things that we need to plan for going forward, because it was time to update that. The
Yeah,
last one that we had done was right after we moved in here.
I just think that this city is a conservatively run, fiscally managed city, which I fully endorse. That is there some point at which you say, look, we know that there's replacements, amortization of costs that you don't want them to hit in 1 year. You do start setting some aside money. As somebody that's bought and done a lot of securitized deals of real estate properties over the year, we had to escrow replacements, and no one's imposing on us, but it's something to continue to look at year after year in budget. I know we are, but this one highlights, hey, it would be nice if we could have been paying for some of these things every year, knowing that the money is coming. We just don't know where all the time. But we got a lot of facilities, so this is going to be something. It's the other side of the coin from investing in real facilities like we do have now. We're going to have to realize that these costs are coming.
The key to that, Councilman Bellman, is keeping that FCA up to date. Keeping the facilities inspected so we know what kind of repairs we have coming forward.
Any other discussion? All right. You've heard the report of the Director of Facilities, Capital, and Construction. What's the desire of council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The item is approved. Moving to the next item.
Agenda item number 2025-139. This is consideration of an ordinance to amend Subpart A, Chapter 6, Article 2, Division 7, Section 6175 of the City Code of Ordinances to amend the definition of City Springs to include additional on-street parking and public parking facilities, presented by Dave Wells, Directors of Facilities, Capital Construction, and Building Operations.
Mr. Wells.
Mayor and Council, before you is a recommendation for an ordinance amendment to the City Springs boundary. A City Springs boundary is defined in Section 6-175 of the City Code of Ordinance, establishes the geographical limits for enforcement of certain ordinance, including on-street parking regulations. You see the map up here. There's a yellow boundary line. That is what was approved in the original 6.175. We're asking to expand enforcement coverage and bring newly constructed or striped parking areas into alignment with the city's code. The following modifications are necessary. We want to extend this boundary on the south side of Sandy Springs Circle all the way down to Hammond Drive, which captures 20 parallel parking spots, and also correct the reference to Sandy Springs Place Northeast from the northern to the southern side of the right-of-way to encompass the 8 parallel parking spots along that road and the small city-owned public parking lot adjacent to the right-of-way. Staff recommends approval of an ordinance amending this Section 6175 of the City Sandy Springs Code of Ordinance to expand the City of Springs boundary to include additional on-street parking and public parking facilities on the Sandy Springs Circle and Sandy Springs Place Northeast.
All right, you've heard the report of the Director of Facilities, Capital, Construction, and Building Operations. What's the desire of council?
Mayor Paul.
Ms. Mueller.
I move that we approve agenda item 2025-139, the consideration of an ordinance to amend Subpart A, Chapter 6, Article 2, Division 7, Section 6-175 of the City Code of Ordinances to amend the definition of City Springs to include additional on-street parking and public parking facilities.
You have a motion by Ms. Mueller. Is there a second? Motion by Ms. Mueller, seconded by Ms. Rochelle, that we approve agenda item 2025-139, an ordinance amending Subpart A, Chapter 6, Article 2, Division 7 of the City Code of Ordinances to amend the definition of City Springs. Any discussion? Ms. Mueller.
So, Dave, the spaces that are across from Heritage that are outside the Bluestone lofts, are those included in this? We had some discussion about that, I think.
No,
at one
those
point.
are not included.
So those are not. Those belong to that parcel, to that property? Is that correct?
The Fulton County records are not entirely clear. So Some indications it's in right of way, and in others it was deeded to them. So at this time, we would not want to move forward until that can be clarified.
Okay. And then, I don't know if this is the place to bring this up, but I know that because this is my district, I've gotten an awful lot of the feedback that, Dave, thank you for working to, remediate or help get clarity for people. But the one has to do with when people don't register to park, they get the penalty for not registering is $45. So is there, I don't know if it's appropriate to do here, or do we have to do a change somewhere else? Because that seems excessive. Typically when someone doesn't, they lose a ticket or they don't register, in other places it's the maximum for the day.
Well, there is some confusion because the sign says 2 hours free. So they pull in assuming they're going to get 2 hours free, and then because they didn't use their phone on the QR code, they get a fine.
That's right, $45.
And we need to deal with that because that's not appropriate. At the same time, we've got a big educational issue to say, hey, look, just scan this in. But, I mean, we've got to make clear that somehow or the other, they either get 2 hours free and there's no, and I don't know how we prove that without that QR code. I think that's the reason for the QR code, is how do you prove that they've been there for 2 hours? So we need at least better communication in these areas. Whether we probably need, for at least a period of time, we're going to need some docents to, when they see people, and it's particularly people John Paulson's age who have a real problem with it. And short people. A lot of people cannot, they say they can't read their camera, can't read the QR code because it's up too high. I know we've had some conversations with that. We've got some community relations work to do on this process to help people understand it and to clarify that, yes, you get 2 hours free, but you still have to scan the code on your phone and register so that we know that you've been there only 2 hours. But I agree, the $45 is a little steep while we're going through the initial phase of it. And I know the city manager is anxious to respond to this.
Yes, because we would be happy to charge less, but when that code section was initially enacted by council in 2018, the fine was $45. It is section 58-122B1. A citation issued for the occurrence of any infraction or any combination thereof shall be punishable by a $45 civil fine per infraction. If it is not paid within 15 days, it shall increase to $75.
Well, that's the great thing about the council. We meet every couple of weeks. We can
So
fit
we
some
can
of
bring
this
that
stuff.
back as a change.
Please do. We don't need to punish people who we have transitioned from one system to another. We've got to allow people to transition in their minds how this new system works. And until we get a level of education and sophistication and understanding by people how to use the system and what the system means and all that sort of stuff, we really need to cut some slack here. So yeah, let's bring in, it's my opinion, we need to bring back, a council can counteract me or countermand me if they think I'm wrong, but I think we do need some, and having some docents there. If you see somebody who's struggling, having somebody there to go say, hey, here's, and help educate. Yeah, Mr. DiGiulio.
Mr. Mayor, you were wrong on one part. I'm a little bit older than him, but not much. And
I was just teasing him anyway.
Since I'm probably the oldest person in this facility right now, I'll speak on behalf of all the old people. I think we should table this until we come up with some sort of a plan to actively help people. I have been noticing like one comment a day on Nextdoor of somebody criticizing the new parking structure on here. I've noticed that we've gotten some emails from constituents criticizing the new parking on here. I have not had the courage yet to even try and register my vehicle on here because I know I won't be able to do it. And I just think I would like to make a motion that we go ahead and table this, expanding the parking until we come up with a plan of how we're going to educate and include everybody in the
Mr. Giulio, that is a germane motion. But let me
It was
just
not a very good motion.
well, but let me also say this on the counter side of this. As I drive around, I am seeing cars permanently parked in those
I understand.
spaces.
We all know there's a problem.
So we've got a balancing act here. I don't mind delaying it, but I do know that we have to deal with the fact the only way you can get turnover in these spaces is to have some kind of charge. And so we've got to. I don't disagree. We've got an education effort. At the same time, the best way to educate people is to force them to use the system.
We've been living with this for 7 years. Another month or so or two till
No, I
we
don't
work out
disagree. I'm just saying that there's not going to be a point when
always gonna be
people
an
aren't
issue.
confused.
Well, then we need to get a lot of people out there walking around, showing people how to register.
That's my point. Having a docent
Yes.
to help
Yes.
is step one.
And until we're to that point, I think we should
Well,
not.
I think staff can bring us back.
Well, we
I
can-
don't. Hold on just a second. I am not opposed to tabling. I'm just saying it's not something we can defer
For years,
Yeah.
no.
Or to even a few months. I
Okay.
think we got it. But that gives staff the opportunity. Ms. Rochelle.
Well, can we pass it tonight, but hold off on putting the signs out until we come up with
Once
something?
you pass it, it becomes law. Once I sign it.
But if we don't put signs out there, then we can't charge right now, right? I mean, we can hold off on the charge, but
We're already charging in the deck and elsewhere.
right.
We're just talking about expanding the area that charges would apply to.
So I do have a question about, so on Hildebrand, I've heard several complaints about when you come to Sandy Spring Circle and you want to take a left, that those two parking spots right there on the left, that it's because you're coming up the hill, that even if there's something parked there, a car parked there or a truck parked there, because there's been those U-Haul trucks there, you cannot see. And so I had talked to Marty one time, or Kristen, I think I'd sent in an email about making those two spots no parking spots, about striping them. Have we looked into that?
Are you talking about if you come up and you're trying to turn south onto Sandy Spring Circle from Hildebrand?
Yes.
We'll go out.
When you turn left, exactly, that it's hard to see a car coming, because if there is a car parked there, that you can't see it. And I actually looked at it myself. I mean, there was a U-Haul truck there, but I was told that even if there's a car there, especially there was a couple of new drivers, someone's daughter from Bluestone was really having a hard time, and then I heard it from a couple other people. If they're trying to take a left, that if there's a car parked there, you can't see the car coming up the hill.
I can work with Marty and our traffic safety group and see if there are any adjustments that need to be made there. And I went through there last week and didn't notice there was there was an issue with sight distance, but we'll certainly go take a look at it.
Thank you.
All right, I'm losing control here. We've got, Mr. DiGiulio has a motion that has not been seconded.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and second to table. That's not debatable. All in favor of the motion to table, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
The chair's unsure. Show of hands. All in favor of the motion to table, raise your hand. All in favor of not tabling? All right, we're going to table. But I would like to bring it back in 2 weeks. Okay?
2 weeks.
Or next meeting.
Why don't we bring it back?
We can take it off the table at any point, but I'd like to make sure we're prepared to discuss it. Yes.
Our next meeting is our short meeting because of the night out with the children.
Right.
How about if we put it out for the second meeting?
Well, it can come off the table at any time the council desires.
Okay.
All right. All right, that moves that one. We've already voted, so is it related to this?
No, it's related to bringing back the $45
That's a parliamentary inquiry.
parliamentary inquiry.
All right, state your inquiry.
So the inquiry is, will staff be bringing that back to us with a potential amendment to reduce that fee?
That would be one possibility.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Moving to the next item. Clerk, please read the next item.
Agenda item
Well,
number
I catch up here.
2025-140. This is consideration to authorize the donation of surplus prisoner vehicle and K-9 vehicle to the Lumpkin County Sheriff's Office, presented by Police Department Captain Andrew Spears.
Mr. Spears.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. This is a request to donate 2 surplus vehicles to the Lumpkin County Sheriff's Office. Both of these vehicles have been deemed beyond our service life, and we are no longer in need of them. We've also replaced them with newer, upgraded vehicles, and the Lumpkin County Sheriff's Office will accept them as is.
All right. Catching up here.
Yes, sir.
You've heard the report of the captain. What's the desire of council?
Mayor Paul.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Paulson.
I beat my senior member of council.
Yeah.
Well, that's because I'm a lot older. I'm
Faster on the
smaller.
draw down here, Junior.
Mayor Paul, I move that we approve agenda item 2025-140, authorize the donation of a surplus prisoner vehicle and a K-9 vehicle to the Lumpkin County Sheriff's Office.
We have a motion by Mr. Paulson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. DiGiulio. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. The question is on agenda item 2025-140, authorizing the donation of a surplus prisoner vehicle and K-9 vehicle to the Lumpkin County Sheriff's Office. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The item is approved. Clerk, please read the next item.
Agenda item number 2025-141, consideration to declare as surplus certain property owned by the city and directing disposal of the same. This is presented by Purchasing Director Connie Donnelly.
Ms. Donnelly.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm here today to request your approval to declare certain city-owned property as surplus, as outlined in the attached Exhibit A. These items originate from police, public works, and fleet departments and are no longer needed for city operations. Each department has identified various equipment and material that are either obsolete, no longer cost-effective to maintain, or otherwise unnecessary for continued use in city operations. These items will be donated, recycled, or auctioned based on their conditions and suitability for reuse. Per the city's purchasing policy and Section 2-334 of Code of Ordinance, all departments are required to report obsolete or unneeded goods to the purchasing agent. Once council declares them as surplus, the city manager, with oversight from legal and finance, will direct their appropriate disposition, whether through auction, donation, recycling, trade-in, or other lawful means. All items are used and will be sold or disposed of as is, with no warranty express, implied, and represent limited residual value to the city. We recommend approval to proceed with their removal, which will help us manage resources more effectively and responsibly. Thank you for your consideration.
All right, you've heard the report of the Purchasing Director. What's the desire of council?
Mayor Paul.
Ms. Rochelle.
Approve agenda item 2025-142, consideration of an ordinance to amend, 141, I have that circled, to declare a surplus certain property owned by the city and directing disposal of the same.
We have a motion by Ms. Rochelle. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Paulson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. The question is on agenda item 2025-141, declaring a surplus certain property owned by the city. All in favor of the motion, or any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. The question's on, I just read it, I'm sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The item is approved. Clerk, please read the next item.
Agenda item number 2025-142. This is consideration of an ordinance to amend Chapter 22, Fire Prevention and Protection, to support commercial development and proposed amendments to Chapter 105, Buildings and Building Regulations of the City of Sandy Springs Code of Ordinances, presented by Fire Chief Keith Sanders.
Mr. Sanders.
Mayor and Council, before you, on June the 17th, I shared with you our desire to amend the Chapter 22, the Fire Prevention, during the work session. During that time, we proposed to amend and raise the square foot threshold for sprinkler requirements for commercial structures from 5,000 to 10,000 square feet. We also advised we wanted to broaden the use of our modified sprinkler systems, and the proposed would be permit by right use of modified systems for light hazard occupancies and then with the fire marshal's approval. And then we also was proposing to revise the current renovation threshold, which was exceeding 50% of a building's assessed value, which triggers the sprinkler compliance. We wanted to raise that to 100% for commercial buildings and all exclusions of cosmetic and non-safety related work, as well as adding language found in the Georgia Minimum Fire Safety Standards. There was question raised by council members about our multifamily residential structures, and we did agree to retain that threshold of 50% of the assessed value that would still trigger the sprinkler threshold. We also recommended some amendments in section 22 through 34, specifically on those as outlined, and then the recommendation in the ordinance amendment to section 22-75 was specific to the intumescent paint requirement. There is a one-time application requirement that was a part of the 2016 ordinance, but this particular language here, that if there's any breaks in the paint, any surface breaches, or if there is flaking of the paint in the current application, that the apartment complexes will have to go in and cover those defected areas. We also have several text amendments in Chapter 105. We found a lot of redundancy in this ordinance compared to similar fire safety ordinance, and we're asking to exclude some of that language. And I'm here prepared to answer any additional questions you may have. Request your approval.
All right, you've heard the report of the fire chief. What's the desire of council?
Mayor Paul.
Mr. Paulson.
I move approval of agenda item 2025-142, an ordinance to amend Chapter 22 Fire Prevention and Protection to support commercial development and proposed amendments to Chapter 105 Buildings and Building Regulations of the City of Sandy Springs Code of Ordinances.
Motion by Mr. Paulson. Is there a second? Second. Motion by Mr. Paulson, seconded by Dr. Kelly, that we approve agenda item 2025-142, amending Chapter 22, Fire Prevention and Protection to support commercial development, proposed amendments to Chapter 105. Any discussion?
Mayor Paul.
Mr. Paulson.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes,
you and I had a good conversation this afternoon about the implications of this. I went back to that particular fellow and explained to him my understanding of this. I also explained to him that there were a couple things. One, some of this doesn't apply if you're remodeling a building or a facility, a part of a facility, and you don't exceed the 100% of the cost of the property threshold. You're not required to put sprinklers in the system. That's correct, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and that's in compliance with current state law.
That's correct.
Okay, hopefully that clarified it with him. Because of his confusion, and maybe there's others, I would suggest that maybe, how do we make this more clear going forward? I'm not against it. I think it's a good idea. How do we make this more clear, but maybe with specific examples of, for example, if you have a building of X and you're remodeling a third of it and it doesn't meet these thresholds, you do not have to do this. That may help to clarify this, because he, and it sounds like his architect, were a little confused about what they had to do and didn't have to do with this.
That particular, I spoke additional conversation with Chris Burnett today, and he's going to make sure that individual gets in touch with us.
Yep.
And we'll sit down with them. And that is also the desire that I've asked of our folks, that I'm meeting with my staff that meets with community development monthly to discuss these as well. And I hope, and my hopes is that we do come up with some type of criteria of explanation of the changes we've made.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay.
I think that's a good solution, but let's get a little more clarity here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Ms. Rochelle.
When you mentioned multifamily, and I know that we've discussed this in the past, and I don't remember if we decided what the answer was, but you said 50% of assessed value. Is that 50% of assessed value of what?
Of that particular unit.
Of that unit.
That building that's damaged in fire. If we have a fire today, the value of that building is taken into account, and they have to comply with upgrading that entire building if that one building is damaged greater than 50%.
So it's not 50% of the assessed value of the community, it's that
It's the
particular
building
Okay, thank you.
that was damaged.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. The question's on agenda item 2025-142, an ordinance amending Chapter 22, Fire Prevention and Protection to support commercial development, and proposed amendments to Chapter 105. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The item is approved. Clerk will please read the next item.
Agenda item number 2025-143. This is consideration to approve a memorandum of agreement between the City of Sandy Springs and the cities of Alpharetta, Johns Creek, Milton, and Roswell for the development of an update to the North Fulton Comprehensive Transportation Plan and to authorize the mayor to execute the agreement. This is presented by Public Works Director Marty Martin.
Mr. Martin.
Mayor and Council, good evening. Tonight I bring forward to you a recommendation that Council approve entering into a memorandum of agreement with the North Fulton cities to undertake an update to the 2018 North Fulton Comprehensive Transportation Plan, and along with that MOA, commit Sandy Springs to its share of the local matching funds required in that North Fulton Comprehensive Transportation Plan study in the amount of $67,650.27. Some quick background: since 2005, the Atlanta Regional Commission, of which we are a member jurisdiction, has made federal funding available to assist counties and cities in developing joint long-range transportation plans. The ARC initiated a comprehensive transportation plan program to assist counties and local governments. And due to its size, Fulton County therein was divided into 3 sub-county planning areas: South Fulton, City of Atlanta, and the North Fulton, which we're talking about tonight. The initial North Fulton CTP was completed in 2010. This council adopted it in October of 2010. There was an update in February 2018, and the plan is now eligible again for an update. An MOA has been developed among the cities in the North Fulton CTP: Alpharetta, Johns Creek, Milton, Roswell, and Sandy Springs. As I speak tonight, with our approval tonight, hoping positively toward that end, Alpharetta will remain to approve to have the approvals within all the other MOA cities approved. With that said, the local required match for the federal funds required for the study is $247,000 overall. ARC has committed some $990,000 in federal grant monies for this update. Proportioned out, Sandy Springs' local match amount is $67,650.27. Mayor and Council, any questions?
All right, you've heard the report of the Public Works Director. What's the desire of council?
Mayor Paul.
Mr. Paulson.
I move approval of agenda item 2025-143, approve the memorandum of agreement between the City of Sandy Springs, the cities of Alpharetta, Johns Creek, Milton, and Roswell for the development of an update to the North Fulton Comprehensive Transportation Plan, and to authorize the mayor to execute same.
Have a motion by Mr. Paulson. Is there a second? Motion by Mr. Paulson, seconded by Mr. DiGiulio, that we approve agenda item 2025-143, a memorandum of agreement between the City of Sandy Springs and Alpharetta, Johns Creek, Milton, and Roswell for the update to the North Fulton Comprehensive Transportation Plan. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. The question's on agenda item 2025-143, approving the memorandum of agreement between Sandy Springs, Alpharetta, Johns Creek, Milton, and Roswell for the update to the North Fulton Comprehensive Transportation Plan. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. The item is approved. Clerk will please read the next item.
Agenda item number 2025-144, consideration to approve a contract award to Luminate Transportation Technologies, LLC, to construct the Intelligent Transportation System Fire Station Number 3 project, and to authorize city manager to execute the contract. Presented by Public Works Director Marty Martin.
Mr. Martin.
Mayor and Council, in this case, I bring before you a contract award to be made to Luminate Transportation Technologies, a firm we have used and currently do use on other works within the city, for the purposes of installing the Intelligent Transportation System, what we've termed Fire Station Number 3 project, and request authorization for the city manager to execute the contract. As a part of T-SPLOST 2021, we envisioned a fiber optic cable system extension from the intersection at Riverside and Herds Ferry down to the intersection of Raider Drive and Herds Ferry and then over to Fire Station Number 3, effectively creating that L shape that would ultimately connect Fire Station Number 3 into our fiber optic network as well. Cable will be installed underground via directional bore and ultimately connect Fire Station Number 3. To seek bids, the city issued an invitation to bid for construction services on May the 14th of this year. The bids were due on June the 17th of 2025. 3 bidders, among them Luminate, with the successful low bid at $335,819.90. So with that, staff does recommend award to Luminate in the amount of $335,819.90, and as currently funded, funds are available in the T-SPLOST 2021 program for this project.
You've heard the report of the Public Works Director. What's the desire of council?
Mayor Paul.
Mr. Paulson.
I move approval of agenda item 2025-144, consideration to approve contract award to Luminate Transportation Technology LLC to construct the Intelligent Transportation System Fire Station Number 3 project and to authorize city manager to execute same.
There a motion by Mr. Paulson. Is there a second? Motion by Mr. Paulson, seconded by Mr. DiGiulio, that we approve agenda item 2025-144, a contract award to Luminate Transportation Technologies to construct the Intelligent Transportation Fire Station Number 3 project. Any discussion?
Mayor Paul.
Mr. Paulson.
Marty, have we worked with Luminate before?
We have, and they are, as a matter of fact, our daily traffic signal service contractor here as well. So different part of the house, but we've worked with them consistently. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. The question's on agenda item 2025-144, contract award to Luminate Transportation Technologies for the Intelligent Transportation Fire System for Fire Station Number 3. All in favor of the motion number say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The item is approved. Clerk will read the next item.
Agenda item number 2025-145. This is consideration of approval of a contract with GTG Traffic Signals for the T9500-23-2B Hammond Drive Traffic Signal Improvement Project and authorization for the city manager to execute the contract. Presented by Public Works Director Marty Martin.
Mr. Martin.
Mayor and Council, tonight I bring before you an award recommendation for the construction of Hammond Drive traffic signal improvements at 2 intersections, Lake Forest at Hammond and Sandy Springs Circle in Hammond, in the amount of $213,785 to GTG Traffic Signals. As a little background, you may recollect we performed some Hammond Drive at these intersections traffic studies and shared those study findings with you some time back. And some of those studies recommended that 3-lane operations be developed at each of these 2 intersections in the interest of primarily creating a dedicated left turn lanes at both of these intersections in the interest of crash reduction and improving traffic efficiency at both of these intersections. With that design, those recommendations in mind, we then ultimately issued an invitation to bid for contractors on May 16th of this year and received those bids on June the 16th of this year. Of the bids received, GTG Traffic Signals in the amount of $213,785 was the most responsive and responsible bidder. With that, we recommend, again, in this case, project being funded out of T9500, our traffic management program. Funds are available. We recommend award to GTG Traffic Signals in the amount of $213,785. We have, as well, as far as a reference on GTG Traffic Signals, have worked with GTG Traffic Signals before. We're also aware of work they're performing for the Georgia Department of Transportation and others. So we believe them to be a responsible contractor is able to execute the work satisfactorily.
All right, you've heard the report of the Public Works Director. What's the desire of council?
Mayor Paul.
Ms. Mueller.
I move that we approve agenda item 2025-145, the approval of a contract with GTG Traffic Signals for the T9500-23-2B Hammond Drive Traffic Signal Improvement Project and authorization for the city manager to execute the contract.
I have a motion by Ms. Mueller. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Mueller, seconded by Dr. Kelly, that we approve agenda item 2025-145, a contract with GTG Traffic Signals for the T95-23-2B Hammond Drive Traffic Signal Improvement Project. Any discussion?
Mayor Paul.
Mr. Paulson.
Hi, Marty. Thank you. Very, very quickly. This includes the restriping, yeah?
The restriping is embedded within our pavement management program. So we'll work this project delivery in tandem with the paving, and restriping happens then as a part of that contract. So, but these two are speaking to each other, and so the two project managers know each other well, so they'll handle that.
I had a lady at the farmer's market this weekend ask me about when this is coming, so I'm glad it's here.
So first part, get this awarded, then there's some material lead time involved with traffic signal gear, then we'll be able to get on with the repaving and restriping this year, hopefully still this year.
Dr. Kelly.
So T9500 has multiple intersections, correct?
And it can address all, so it's a catch-all program for our intersections.
So how many intersections are we looking at right now?
In terms of executing a project?
Yeah, in terms of putting out bids and
Okay.
executing.
This one, or this pair of intersections, and
Okay.
then hopefully next council meeting, as we complete our reference check, we've also put out for bid, and Kristen, same program, correct? Yes. We'll have the Trowbridge at Roswell intersection as well, that we hopefully have our reference checks is completed at that time, and we hope to bring that to you with the next meeting.
Okay, was Northridge on that list
Yes.
right now, or no?
It was with the Trowbridge and Northridge,
Okay,
correct? Yes, got it.
okay. So I'm just looking at the numbers, because we have about $1 million in that fund for fiscal year 26. So are we confident that we'll be able to fund what we intend to fund this fiscal year?
I think we
These
have sufficient,
intersections?
I'll answer it this way. I think we have sufficient flexibility within our two programs that I am confident we can fund the intersection work that we put out for bid.
Okay, thanks.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. The question's on agenda item 145, approval of a contract with GTG Traffic Signals for T95. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The item is approved. The clerk will please read the next item.
Agenda item number 2025-146, consideration of a resolution authorizing the city's participation in an amicus brief to the Georgia Supreme Court, presented by City Attorney Dan Lee.
Mr. Lee.
Mayor, Council, you'll remember that back some 8 months ago, I brought to you the request that the city participate in an amicus brief to the Supreme Court, asking them to hear a decision rendered by the Court of Appeals involving a tragic wreck in Milton. Took the life of a young man that we believe, when I say we, 79 other city attorneys in Georgia believe that there was a misapplication of the law, redefining what the roadway responsibilities of the city would be. I'm glad to report to you that the Supreme Court, in a 6-2 vote, one being disqualified, only one dissenting vote, has agreed to hear the case and asked that briefs be submitted on the narrow issue of whether or not the roadway can be expanded for determining extraordinary duty for the cities, and whether or not immunity would lie to the city for any violation of misapplication of items in the right-of-way and not in the roadway. Last check today, some 200 cities intend to participate. Of the 79 that I mentioned, we all would propose to sign the same brief.
Just to be clear, we're agreeing to join these other communities in this one amicus brief. We're not filing our own individual brief, correct?
That's correct.
All right, just want to make clear. You've heard the report of the city attorney. What's the desire of council?
Mayor Paul?
Dr. Kelly.
I move approval of agenda item 2025-146, consideration of a resolution authorizing the city's participation in an amicus brief to the Georgia Supreme Court.
Motion by Dr. Kelly. Is there a second? Motion by Dr. Kelly, seconded by Mr. Baumann, that we approve agenda item 2025-146, a resolution authorizing the city's participation in an amicus brief to the Georgia Supreme Court. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. The question is on agenda item 2025-146, a resolution authorizing the city's participation in an amicus brief to the Georgia Supreme Court. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The item is approved. The clerk will please read the next item.
Agenda item number 2025-147. This is consideration of a resolution to approve a purchase agreement for the purchase and trade-in of automated external defibrillators and to authorize the city manager to execute documents to effectuate the same. Presented by Fire Chief Keith Sanders.
Chief Sanders.
Mayor and council, before you is a request to purchase 232 AEDs from a company called Avi. If you recall back in January during the retreat, we discussed to you about the 4-Minute City program that we're wanting to work with Avi to bring into the city of Sandy Springs. This will actually complement that once that's on board. But this particular request tonight is to replace all the current AEDs that are throughout the city, including the fire trucks, the city buildings, police vehicles. And the benefit and the reason why we chose and went with Avi, some of the integration that's there, that's capabilities for us, is it communicates with Rapid SOS, which is up at Chatcom, and we're able to track them, and they actually are part of the GIS system. It shows them where it's located using GIS technology. It also gives us the capability to have rechargeable batteries, and the batteries are notified. It notifies through the Rapid SOS program when a battery is low so that they can be replaced. And so we ensure that they always are in service. And this is also a part of our 2026 capital budget that you approved on July 1st. And I'm available to answer any questions you may have on this request.
You've heard the report of the fire chief. What's the desire of council? Ms. Rochelle.
That we approve agenda item 2025-147, a consideration of resolution to approve a purchase agreement for the purchase and trade-in of automated external defibrillators and to authorize the city manager to execute documents to effectuate the same.
Motion by Ms. Rochelle. Is there a second? Motion by Ms. Rochelle, seconded by Dr. Kelly, that we approve agenda item 2025-147, approving a purchase agreement for the purchase and trade-in of automated external defibrillators. Any discussion? Ms. Rochelle.
Where are these, are they spread out around?
Well, these particular ones will be in city vehicles, police cars. We've got several in this building. This is different than the 4-Minute Avi program that we're also in the process of. If you recall, we were getting sponsorships from like Northside Hospital. Mm-hmm. They're help purchasing those as well. And we funded some money as well, the city did, to manage the program. We're getting more sponsorship on that. We hope to have the entire program. These will be up and running sooner than the 4-Minute program will, but we hope the 4-Minute community program will be up and running before the end of 2025.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. The question is on agenda item 2025-147, a resolution approving a purchase agreement for the purchase and trade-in of automated external defibrillators. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to the mayor and council reports. Just a few quick items. One, you may have noticed there's a bunch of turtles crawling around outside on the green, and it is the 20th celebration of the town turtles that was created by the Sandy Springs Society and Art Sandy Springs and other groups in town, which funded a lot of things. Helped us purchase parks and some other things we did. So in conjunction with the 20th anniversary of the city, the society has brought back the town turtles and refurbished a few of them, and they're spaced around outside. And we had a great reception, largest crowd we've ever had, I think, for one of our art opening receptions. And Jan Collins told some great stories about the origination of this idea and it bringing it to fruition. Another great event we had here was Stars and Stripes, largest crowd I think we've ever had. What did our final estimate end up?
We're still looking at 11,000.
Right at 11,000. Well, they had a great time. And it was, as usual, it's a great community building event. And people had, the compliments that I've received about the effect, not only just the show, but how staff and police and the first responders were there and made them feel very safe. And so a lot of positive feedback on that. And then I had the opportunity, we talked about the Atlanta Regional Commission a few moments ago, had an opportunity to participate in their regional assembly of public officials that was held at the Galleria a couple of weeks ago. Real great opportunity to sit down with and get some briefs. We got a really good briefing on the current demographics that Mike Alexander shared with us at the retreat. He's updated them, and we'll have those are being sent to us, and we'll have those available to us for use in planning. Some really, really good data that came out of that. That's mine. Is anybody else? Mr. Bauman.
Ditto on all the events, and the Troubadour Project the other night was really good at the Heritage Lawn. A little bit of rain didn't stop anybody, but it was a great show. I see Chief still here. I had an opportunity to help organize and attend a tour of the headquarters with 4 of our area legislators, Representatives Panich and Roberts, Senators McLaurin and Rashawn Kemp, who represents a sliver of the southern part of Sandy Springs. And Chief, that was just a great tour. I know you were a little disappointed that the billboard didn't get to welcome everybody, but that really didn't matter. What I want to acknowledge is just the enthusiasm with which you give these tours. It's really, you can't fake it, and I really appreciate that. Everything from holding cells to your office to the technology that most people will never see. This city is really, really well served, and I couldn't be more grateful. And it was interesting, you and Senator McLaurin apparently come from or have connections to some really small town in Kentucky. And you were headed there that afternoon. And I hadn't seen your office since it was fully decorated. And you do have quite a collection of Kentucky bourbon, unopened, I would add. Now, that may not be the permanent situation, but it does appear to be for display purposes only. But really impressive. Thank you. And I know we spent at least an hour and 15 minutes. And I know you could do these tours for 3 hours and barely scratch the surface. So thank you, Chief. Look forward to doing more of those. And I know I got feedback afterwards. Those legislators were really impressed and really appreciative.
Any others? Mr. Paulson, then Ms. Mueller.
Thank you, Mayor Paul. So Sandy Springs became a Purple Heart City in 2016. This August 7th, would be our 10th recognition of Purple Heart Day, which is August 7th. We got a meeting on August 5th, and without objection, I'd like us to recognize Purple Heart veterans during our meeting on August 5th, coming up in 2 weeks.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you.
Ms. Mueller.
So I had the pleasure to attend the ARC meeting that Mayor Paul mentioned, and it was a good session. I attended one on affordable and workforce housing, as well as mixing and mingling with many of our sister brother cities in North Fulton. So I encourage others to attend that next year. I think that this was the first year, so it's only going to get better. Secondly, I've joined Dr. Kelly now in having my certificate of recognition from the Georgia Municipal Association. So she set the bar. I had to meet that. So now I guess we're going to see if we're going to make the next one. Yeah, the race is on. And I also had organized a meeting with the new executive director, Colleen San Giorgio of Keep North Fulton Beautiful. And I think Dr. Kelly and I had a really great discussion with her on some of the ideas that she has. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how she can come forward and maybe get some other things going there through partnerships.
All right. All right. Staff reports. All right, Mr. DiGiulio, the floor is yours. Mr. DiGiulio moves adjournment. Is there a second? Motion by Mr. DiGiulio, seconded by Mr. Paulson, that we adjourn. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We are adjourned.